What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of A Playmaker's View. I'm your host, Jamie Burdish, and today my friends and I are going to be doing an MLB playoff bracket. We're going to be breaking down our thoughts and predictions, and feel free to comment your thoughts as well. Obviously, it's not live. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So, with that being said, we're going to dive right into it, and I hope you all are doing well out there. Here we go. We can get right into it. We'll start with the AL wildcard. We're going to do, so basically how it's going to work is we're each going to pick a team, and then whoever has like the majority will move on in our bracket. So Enrique, first game, I guess it's going to air tomorrow, but tonight technically, Red Sox, Yankees, who you got?
I gotta say the Yankees, coming off this past month, they've just been super hot, and they're getting hot at like the right time. They're a team full of really good hitters. Their pitching's like okay, but again, it's one game, and if the bats are hot, then the bats are hot.
Yeah, I feel that, and I'm going with the Yankees too, honestly. So I look back, the last 10 games the Yankees and the Red Sox played, the Yankees have a 7-3 lead over them. And on top of that, you got your big home run hitters. You got Judge, you got Stanton, you got Sanchez. Judge 39 homers, Judge 39, Stanton 35, Sanchez is 23. And then on top of that, you look at the Boston starters, and there you've got like a 4.5 ERA. So I think going into this, I get it's at Fenway, but I think Yankees are going to kill this game.
Chris, what do you think?
I'm going Yankees as well. Based on road stats, Yankees are absolutely dominating at Fenway. Garrett Cole in postseason is absolutely electric. He's just throws some nasty stuff. Last year he had a 3.1 ERA. Previous year he had a 2.57, and then 2018 with Houston he had a 1.29. That's just, you can't get better than that as a pitcher.
Yeah, no, I'm going Yankees too. Evaldi, that's like really all that they have pitching wise, and with the hitters, like Tim said, and with all those guys, I don't think that Garrett Cole is going to keep it close. So if they start hitting, it's game over for them. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with the Yankees as well. I think with Evaldi, his last start against the Yankees, he gave up 7 runs. So, he just, in recent facing against them, he hasn't looked that good.
All right, now to the NL. A lot of us are Cardinals fans, so
yes, sir.
Might be a little biased, but I'll start this off, and I will say that I'm a little nervous just about a few factors. Of course, Scherzer. Cardinals did not do well against him last time. He is Max Scherzer in general. To be playing at Dodger Stadium is tough, but I am going to take the Cardinals just because of their momentum, and I think historically the Cardinals do a lot better against the Dodgers. I know mainly against like Kershaw, but I got to ride with the Cardinals. So.
Yeah, I feel you, and I'll pick up off that honestly. So I'm gonna ride with the Cardinals too on this one, and I'm actually basing this off stats, not even just my own bias. But you can say Cardinals, they just had a 17-game win streak. Like, they're hot, they got the momentum. Okay, well, if you look at the Dodgers, out of the last 20 games, the Dodgers won 17 of those. But granted, they've played the Rockies, they've played the D-backs. They didn't have as challenging of a schedule, as the Cardinals did. Sure. But if you combine O'Neill, Goldschmidt, Arenado, that's 99 home runs right there. We got a team, and we got Waino on the mound too. Besides the fact he just secured a $17 million bag for 1 year, against this year alone, Waino has been on fire nonstop.
Yeah. Chris and Jason?
I love the Cardinals. It's my hometown team, but I gotta go with the Dodgers. These guys they're just phenomenal right now. There's somewhere else to put it. Max Scherzer is having a storybook second half of the year. I'm pretty sure he's in the top 3 for Cy Young. He's on the bump too at Dodger Stadium. It's gonna be tough for the Cardinals, but I see close win for the Dodgers.
I gotta agree with that. Dodgers. Trey Turner's been insane this year, in like around 320, 330.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple, Dodgers are an 100-win team. Without the Giants, they'd be in first place easy. And with the Cardinals, I mean, you need O'Neal, Bader, and Carlson all performing, the entire outfield. And Arenado hasn't looked as great towards the end of the season. So there's just some key factors that, I mean, yes, the win streak was awesome, but I don't think they can carry it.
I agree.
Just based off like my thoughts is that if you look at that rotation and like the bullpen that like the Dodgers have, it's just deep. You know, they have like guys who are their second and their third pitchers who could be an ace on like a different team. And when you just bring that into the table, compare that to the pitching that like what the Cardinals have, it's just a big question mark. Unlike the Cardinals and on the Dodgers, and it's like more of like set in stone. You know. But like bringing up the point of like what the like streak is that when you get hot at the right time, there's no one stopping you. Like you look at like the Yankees like a few years back coming in from like the wild card and making it deep, and it's like it just depends if they can carry that momentum going in. I mean the like Cardinals are a great like home run team, and when you're playing on like the like road, that always helps. So I'm gonna go with the Dodgers, but.
Yeah,
I can definitely see the Cardinals
we'll
winning.
We'll go with the Dodgers for our bracket. I mean, I love the Cardinals, and I think there was a question like, was it good for them to lose their streak? And I think yes, but also no at the same time because they did lose to the Cubs technically twice with that rain out. So like, and the Cubs are just god awful. So. Let's go over the Sox and the Astros over in the ALDS. Enrique, I know you're a Sox fan, so what you started?
I mean, just like right off the like bat, like on paper, I mean, you look at like the White Sox record against the like Astros, and I think it's like 7-3 or like something like that. But from my understanding and based off what I've seen is that we have not been healthy since September. You know, we've had like Grandal out, we've had Robert out, we've had a bunch of guys out, and the whole year we've played with like a bunch of like minor league caliber guys, and we're still winning games and we're still playing great. But it's, you know, we had led the like AL in like strikeouts, and we're a strikeout heavy team, and that's one thing that I like will say is that the Astros this like past year like offensively have not been great as like years past.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're kind of like 50-50, like 31 or 30 and like 35 when it comes to like low scoring games. So it just depends if our pitching can get down. I mean, we have guys who can rip nukes. So
I'll pick up off that, and I'm actually going to say overall, I think the White Sox are going to move on out of this series. But I will say one thing that is going to really be hard for them. Sox have their pitching, the velocity in their pitching staff is huge. They have a ton of velocity, which I think really helps. But the thing is, the Astros, their on-base percentage. I mean, you can look at their batting average. They got good people on their batting average, but their on-base percentage is close to 400. I mean, you got guys who are 366, 383, 350, 362. I mean, they got a strong on-base percentage, and like everyone knows, if you get on base, the odds of you scoring runs increase by a ton. So, but I'm going to go with the Sox overall.
Yeah, I'm going with the Sox too. I love their pitching staff. And Enrique, I mean, we talked about Keuchel, which that's one thing. But I think the one thing that worries me about the Sox is their experience, like in the playoffs, like veterans and stuff. But I do think that young, like momentum, like the will to win is something that they have going on their side. And I'm taking the Sox. I think it's going to be a really close series. I think it'll be one of those where it's like probably go to the last game and it's going to be a shootout for sure. Jason?
I'll put in a vote for the Stros. I think just with them being in the playoffs 6 of the 7 in the last years, there was something like, I think, 7 key bats being in the lineup. They're 18 and 11, but those guys have been hurt throughout the year. And so all of them getting healthy now is it's a good time to get healthy. And I mean, with the White Sox, too, they're getting healthy as well. But the fact that Rodon's questionable, he's probably been one of their best pitchers. So I'm going to go with the Stros.
Chris?
This would be a hard one. I mean, at the end of the day, these teams are excellent. You know, they're getting stuff done. But I'm going to go with the Astros. I mean, this team's been really quiet. They haven't really had much noise after this whole controversy with the banging trash cans. Somebody look at them if they just don't care. But this team has the highest scoring offense in baseball right now, averaging around 5.3 runs per game. That's just it's unbelievable. Their pitching has been pretty under the radar. You know, not getting as much credit as they deserve. But like you said, I think it's gonna go. Was it 5 games?
Yeah, 5.
It'll probably go to 5 games, and it wouldn't surprise me if the
I
White
agree.
Sox won.
I can see that going 5 games, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got a majority on the Sox, so we'll move them forward. Now I'll go to the Braves and Brewers.
Ooh.
Good matchup. I personally have the Brewers just because they have those 3 strong, the core, which again, it's like a team that could have, if they were somewhere else, they'd be the Aces. But the one key for the Braves, and I don't think this is going to happen just because, I mean, they're a great offense, but everything they do is in the beginning of the game most of the time. And so the key for them to win, which I'm still going to take the Brewers, but they can hop off to, get a few runs in the first few innings and get into that bullpen, because the Brewers bullpen has been struggling lately. I think their ERA is like 5 or 6 right now for the bullpen. But I am going to take the Brewers just because I think that starting pitching can lead in games like this, close games. But, I mean, if that pitching goes far, they have to have their offense as well. But I will take the Brewers.
I think I'm going to go with the Brewers as well. I mean, the NL East has easily been one of the weakest divisions this year. The Braves are probably one of the weakest division-winning teams. And then you can say that they've been really good recently, but they've played mostly under 500 teams like the Padres and Phillies, and it's just that can't really speak to success if they're playing a team like the Brewers in that rotation.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that when it's going to come down to is pitching in this series. I mean, both teams, here's the way I look at it. They both have their big hitters. They both have their guys, their core guys. But overall, they don't have a ton of offense. Like, they do, but they don't. If you look at average, Braves, I don't believe any of their starting guys are over 300 on average. Brewers barely have a couple guys over 300. But I think the big thing is going to be pitching, where the Brewers have multiple guys that have a 3 ERA, and I think that's going to come back and really help them out, because if you look at the Braves, they got guys who are 4.5 ERAs, and I think the Brewers, if they can really keep the home run ball to a minimum, I think that's going to help them out.
Yeah. By the way, if you have to go, you can go.
I would just say, with that too, when it comes to the whole now, on paper, from what it looks like, the Braves were a team that really should not have made the playoffs. They were in a very weak division. They played weaker teams, and from that kind of point of view, you're you might think that the Dodgers or the Cardinals are both better teams than the Braves. So when you look at that Brewers rotation and the fact that they have Yelich, who's always done decent in the playoffs, a former MVP, it's kind of hard to not take them. But they've kind of been banged up this past month. So I'm taking them, but I wouldn't be too shocked if the Braves move on, but I would not expect it.
Yeah, and one quick question for you guys, kind of off you're talking about playoffs, but not specific teams. The playoff format, do you guys think it should be expanded to something bigger?
I love the 16 teams. I think it's more exciting.
Yeah, I loved it last year, when you had games going on super early, and pretty much more wild card teams. It's more craziness, more madness. So it's always fun to watch more baseball in September.
I agree.
Yeah, baseball is one of those sports you can get away with something like that just because any team can come out of nowhere and win.
Yeah, that's true. And in my opinion, games, they're slower, but if you put in hockey, for example, you play a game once every 2 days sometimes, where baseball, I feel it's a lot more faster pace, you play more, and the playoffs get through quicker, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah. So are we doing Brewers for that one?
Yeah, I said
I'll say
Brewers.
Brewers for that one.
All right, let's do. So we said Yankees for their wild card, so then it'd be against Tampa Bay. Jason, what do you think in that matchup?
I mean, simply put, the Yankees are just too streaky. They got too many home runner or bust hitters. Gallo and Rizzo haven't played all that great since they've gotten to New York. And their pitching depth just isn't there. I think the Rays just beat them in all categories.
I agree. I think the Rays are better than they were last year, and they went to the World Series. They have just a unique kind of lineup. That's definitely not good. They have a unique lineup, and their pitching's really good, even with losing, some of their, like last night, huge ace. I mean, they still have a really good rotation and good bullpen, and I just think, like you said, the Yankees are pretty streaky, so I would go with the Rays as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Rays, they're just the best well-rounded baseball team in the playoffs. I was telling Tim earlier that I thought they would get a first-round exit from the Yanks, but, I mean, just look at these stats. It's just incredible. They have guys that are just – I'm pretty sure let's see, hold on. They've scored more runs than the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays lead the American League and the MLB in home runs. So they're obviously scoring a lot of runs. And this team just well-rounded. They have Wander Franco, who's been making some noise this year. They're pitching, they're starting rotations pretty well. And their bullpen, they can just come out and back them up in games. I think it's easy win for the Rays.
Yeah, and their bullpen, too, like, they can use them. It can be like a bullpen game for them the whole time because they have guys that can go a long time. So that's another thing about the Rays, which I think they're going to go pretty far.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So we'll take the Rays. I'm going to jump over to the NL. So the Giants are obviously going to play the winner of the Dodgers and Cardinals. So we said the Dodgers. Tim, what do you think if that were to be the case?
Man, that's another series where I think that can go 5 games. I think that can go the distance. If you think about it, these guys, you had 109 wins or 106 wins for the Giants, and then Dodgers had 104, something like that. And I mean, you got. If you think about it, it's wild that these guys aren't in the NLDS already. Like, it's wild that the Dodgers have to play a wild card game, considering the amount of wins they had. But honestly, I'm going to go with the Dodgers on this one. And more than anything, I think it's going to come down to the big home run ball. I think that's something that's really going to really favor the Dodgers. If you look at I think it was last week, they played the Padres. They were in the 9th inning, or is it 8th? No, I think it was the 8th inning. They had 4 home runs that inning. That was the inning they rallied, and they're not afraid to hit that. I mean, they have power when they need it. And I think that's something that's really going to come up big for the Dodgers in that series.
Yeah, the Dodgers just have, a guy that won 20 games and, Walker Buehler, they have Scherzer. Yeah, the Dodgers lineup is just too stacked to not go far, which hopefully they don't. I said Cardinals earlier. But that was because it's a one game. When the Dodgers are in a series like this, I think they have the pitching to go far.
Oh, I agree. If it was Cardinals with Dodgers in an actual series, I'd go Dodgers 100%.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm still rocking with the Cardinals in that wild card. I think a one game. I think Cardinals and Waino pitching. I think that's going to be something that the Cardinals can pull off.
Yeah. LA over San Francisco. What do you got?
I'm going Giants, man. I feel like they've been one of those surprising teams in the NL this entire year. Getting back to their kind of like winning ways from like years like past, and guys like Chris Bryant in the playoffs. I mean, that guy's like a difference maker. He's a versatile player, can play in the infield and like the outfield too. So based on what they've done this like past year, I really feel like it's hard to like not take them. Especially when you look at it from the point of view of how many times they've played the Dodgers and then beaten them too, Yeah. So.
Well, just a crazy fun fact. The Dodgers ended up with 106 wins. And there's not a ton of teams that can say they've had 106 wins. But this is the first time in MLB history that there's been a team that has 106, and they were in second place in their division.
I believe that.
And that speaks a lot to the Giants. And I just think also with the Dodgers, they're missing Muncy most likely. For sure in the wild card, most likely in the LDS. And Kershaw as well. And those are two big pieces that I think they just can't do well without. So I'm going with the Giants.
I just worry about with Brandon Belt, because I know he's out, but it's how quick of a recovery will he have? Will he be able to come back for the playoffs? I mean, that's something that you got to factor in too.
Yeah. Chris, you're our deciding factor. Who do you got?
I mean, honestly, I'm going to San Francisco Giants. This team is incredible. Chris Bryant, like he said, incredible. Brandon Crawford, the old-timer, absolutely killing it this year. I love to see that. And that's why I think they will make it past the Dodgers, because they have leadership and these senior roles, like with Brandon Crawford. Guy has been, 3-time World Series champion?
Yeah.
Pretty sure. He's just incredible. And I know Brandon Belt led the team in home runs, hit 29. But that doesn't matter to me. I think that this team can pull it off. They have great pitching and Kevin Gausman. Wilmer Flores is pretty good. It's just this guy. They're not slowing down. I think they'll roll past the Dodgers. Cody Bellinger's absolutely terrible this year, been 196. If that might be even being nice, it could be lower than that. Max Muncy's out, like Jason said, and that's a big loss. Clayton Kershaw's not there. Granted, they have Scherzer and Walker Buehler, but I don't know, it'll be tough. But I got the Giants.
All right.
So, in the ALCS, we have the Rays and the Sox. Enrique?
Yeah, so when you look at the pitching stats for both teams, I mean they're pretty much very similar. The ERAs are pretty much the same thing, and that's pretty. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like weird to see when like the number one and like the three team are like stats wise pretty much like similar.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is I could definitely see the Rays winning, but the way that the Sox have been as of late, being super healthy, getting the most out of their pitchers, and then when you look at their bullpen too, in the playoffs you might only have guys going 5 to 6 innings. So when you have Liam Hendricks, Krimble, guys like Crochet and Kopech too coming out, I don't know, it's kind of electric and really good to have. But with the Rays too, I mean they're a very sneaky team. You have Nelson Cruz, who when he played for the Twins absolutely owned the White Sox. I mean his stats against the Sox are phenomenal, and in that DH role, I mean he's a professional hitter and that's all he does is just hit balls.
Yeah.
So again, offensively, I mean they were good, but in the playoffs last year they were absolutely great. So it just really depends on what teams from each side you get. I'm still going with the Sox. I mean they're coming in hot. The team's all healthy. A great pitching staff too. So
yeah, I'm going with the Sox too. I think just the power, and also energy. I think the energy they provide, the fan base that they have, and you might not think, oh, fan base doesn't really help at all, but it does. It gives you momentum that provides teams with energy to get up, get going every day. I think between the momentum they're going to be having, the power they have in the bats, the velocity they have pitching, I honestly don't see them stopping. I see them going to the World Series for sure.
I'm sticking my gun on this one, but I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I mean, this team, I think I said before, that they're just so good. And I think the AL East is the best division in baseball. I mean, they had Toronto. There are 4 teams that are above 500, and Toronto's close to making the playoffs as well. They've always had good competition, and I mean, the AL Central is pretty weak. Don't get me wrong, though, that there's White Sox have good competition. They beat the Yankees in the what game was that? Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams game. They made their mark for sure.
Tim Anderson walk-off.
Yeah, they're a great team and all, but this Rays team is just so well-rounded. I just don't see them losing to anybody.
All right, so yeah, I I think I'm going to go with the Rays on this one. Tough decision. But I just think that the Rays have some solid pitching that if someone were to stop the Sox, then it would be the Rays. And I think they have the small ball offense that can defeat, a rotation like the Sox. Because the Sox have some really good pitching. And I think it's going to take not just the long ball, but the Rays have the ability to hit the ball around all parts of the park, and they're going to establish that real quick and get that. So, Jason, you're the deciding factor.
There's a lot to consider here. And like Enriquez said, I mean, these teams are so evenly matched. You got the rotation of the White Sox. When Rodon's back, they got a 1-2-3 punch of Lynn, Giolito, and Rodon. Both bullpens are great. And with the White Sox lineup, you got guys on the bench that you can change in and can start. And, I mean, with the Rays, you got to think about Arozarena performance last year. You got to think about Brett Phillips being so clutch and just a great guy. And, I mean, also it comes down to the managers even. You got Tony La Russa being so old school and basically ruining your Mercedes, unpopular opinion. But then you also got Kevin Cash, who pulled Snell too early. So
I remember that.
There's a lot to consider. I mean, the Rays, number 1 seed, wow. They had a great year. But I'm going with the upset.
Going down.
White Sox.
Going down.
All right. So, Sox are going to the World Series.
Yes, sir.
Giants and Brewers.
Whew.
I think this is a pretty easy decision, in my opinion.
A little 1 and 2 seed action.
Enrique had to go, so we're going with 4 people now. So if we end up having a tie, we're just gonna have to
figure it
talk
out.
Yeah. But I'm definitely going with the Giants in this one. Just unmatched. I think their offense can, again, on this side of things, I think their offense can defeat the 3 core pitchers of the Brewers, and they're going to do that quickly. And again, the Brewers, back of the bullpen as of right now is not doing too well. I think they had, ever since the September 1st, it's 5.5 ERA or something.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
And I just think the Giants are one of, if not the best team in baseball on paper. They're definitely up there. So I'm going with the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Devin Williams, hometown boy. Good, actually my neighbor, Hazelwood West guy, shout out to that. But anyways, gotta go with the Giants. I mean, this team, like I said, they're incredible. I've been looking at these stats right now. I keep on hearing this name, Camilo Doval. He has 37 Ks and 9 walks and 27 innings pitched. It's incredible. He's going to be a big asset for them this year in the bullpen. Like I said before, Brandon Crawford, he's just, I hated seeing him playing against the guy whenever the Cardinals were playing in the playoffs, 2014, whenever Chicago walked it off against us. But seeing him still do this, make a magic like this, it's pretty awesome, and I'd love to see the Giants go to the World Series.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Giants too. However, I mean, you can look at stats and you can just base it off that. But if you just look at just how the teams are playing, stats aside, just look at how the teams are playing. I honestly think that right now the Giants are really on an uptrend right now. I think the Brewers kind of fell off, in my opinion. They have Josh Hader. He's pitching a 1.2 right now, ERA. He's a stud overall. But then you have your guy like Christian Yelich, who's the former NL MVP stud. Well, now he's batting below 250. He's not putting up the numbers like he used to. He's not even starting some of these games. I just don't think the Brewers are what they were in the first half of the season, in my opinion. And I think this is going to be a dominant series for the Giants.
Jason, we decided Giants, but
I guess one thing to add is just the end of the season, like Timmy B's saying. They dropped 4 at home to the Cardinals in the third to last week. Then they got almost swept again by the Cardinals, swept by the Dodgers. They just haven't looked good as of late. Rotations don't win baseball games. They can help a lot, but you also need some bats, and Yelich just hasn't been performing like he used to.
Yeah.
And without Williams, I think they're missing a key eighth inning guy, maybe even a closer, however they wanted to use him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Setup or closing, that's a big loss for him for sure.
Yep. All right, so we have the Chicago White Sox and the San Francisco Giants in the World Series in 2021. So, Jason, let's start off with you. If this were to be this is our prediction. So, who do you think is going to take it all?
This is a tough one. I think the Giants have shocked people all year. They were projected at maybe 72 wins or something at the beginning of the season. Yeah, and it's just like, they outplayed the Dodgers, and the Dodgers had 106 wins, and I don't think that's just going to end in the regular season. I think they're going to take it all the way. Even with the White Sox lineup, with their rotation, I think the key thing here is just comparing the bullpens. The Giants have had some very consistent, excellent pitching out of the bullpen. Alvarez and can't think of the guy's name right now. Duvall, I think, something like that. But two key guys. Adam Duvall. Two key guys, and I mean their bullpen outside of that's been great too. And with the White Sox, I mean Kimbrel hasn't been the same since he left the Cubs.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean they can't just rely on Hendricks the whole postseason.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Giants.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to go, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard one, to be honest. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I would go Giants. I want to see the White Sox do it. I think this is definitely a time that they had the chance to win it all. But I just don't see them beating the Giants. I think the Giants have too much going for them. I mean, if the White Sox were to get to this point and they were to win, they would need numbers from everybody. They would need everybody to produce. They can't just rely on Abreu, Grandal, Anderson. They're three main guys when it comes down to home runs, averages. I think they're going to need the whole team, where for the Giants, they've been having the whole team clicking all year. I don't think that's a problem for them. Whether they have an injury or not, they still move forward. They still win games. So I don't see the Giants losing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm with the Giants as well. I think experience does a lot in the playoffs, and the Giants, Brandon Crawford and people like that, have that kind of experience where the White Sox have some momentum and they have these young guys who are passionate, but playoffs are a whole different ballgame. So I think that it's going to be hard for them. I earlier said that the Rays were going to beat them, but if they do get to that point, they're going to need all hands on deck, like you said, Tim. I mean, it's going to need 7 innings of pitching and 5 or 6 runs each game to defeat this Giants team. So,
I'm looking at these stats here for the regular season for the Giants, and I see 3 guys right now that are above 300 against AL teams: Longoria, Darren Ruff, Donovan Solano. Solano has 65 at bats. Longoria has 19. Ruff has 36. So they've seen their fair share of pitching. Buster Posey's batting 306 right now. This team's just incredible in the bats as well. Like I said before, their rotation's really well. Their starting pitching is incredible. I just don't see them losing. They have the experience. They have the young guys. They have everything they need to win a World Series this year.
Yeah. All right, so we have decided on the San Francisco Giants winning the 2021 World Series.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you think. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be dropping tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So tune
First
in.
game.
First game,
tune in.
Wild
Red
card.
Sox, Yankees. Going to be a good one. Go Cards. And I hope you all are doing well. Back with you guys very soon. Probably do an update. Maybe do one before the World Series to talk about it a little more.